but everybody else in the 8th hour class, I love you. So happy 8th hour. We have an amazing student period for you guys today. My favorite period, I know, like always are the student period. So before we get to it, we just have a few thank yous. So we got the Booster Club, because they helped with the monies. And
Clap it up. I saw Mr. Anderson starting with that, so I just thought that was appropriate. Speaking of Mr. Anderson, this is Inc. for putting together the lion's share of this production. Yourselves, your parents, boosters, administrators, everybody that has a hand in here. Shout out to my broadcasting club, who's bringing this to you, by the way, if you go to FHS Writers Week on TikTok. So, yeah, there you go. Social media. Awesome.
And thank you to Tech Crew up there.
Tech Crew.
All right, so I think we're good. We're going to get started.
Let's do it.
We've got a lot of talent up here.
Lots of
So
talent.
our first talented individual is Sammy Seathrough. Come on up, Sammy.
Hi, I'm Sammy. Shout out Miss Saints. 8th period class, you guys are the best. I don't wear seatbelts, and this is why. My 2nd grade teacher, Miss Karen Bojangles, said to me, please make sure you bring back souvenirs to show the class. That's not her actual name, but she was very much a Karen. I had notified her I would be leaving for not just the weekend, but a whole week before winter break. At the time, I was ecstatic. Being able to miss school for an extra week and not having to see Miss Bojangles for a good month put a devious smile on my little face. Honestly, I didn't have anything against the lady. She had a solid snack time assortment, but my mother was not appeased that easily. She didn't hesitate to let good old Miss Bojangles know she despised the way she taught me grammar and thought she was doing a below-average job of preparing my friends and I for the all-elusive, gifted and talented program we would be entering next year. Miss Bojangles was equally as bullheaded and pretty pissed off at the world. I vividly remember her going through a divorce that year. Bless her husband's soul. She regularly reminded my mother that it wasn't her responsibility if I was prepared or not, and that a better use of her time was to cater to the rest of the class, not just the anomalies. There were multiple instances of Miss Bojangles assigning me extra reading assignments and grading me harder than other students as a retaliation to my mother's criticisms. Thanks, Mom. This vacation and hunt for a souvenir was a great way for my 2nd grade self to get out of the crossfire of this rivalry and go have a blast on the 2-week cruise. That Friday, we embarked on a 2-day road trip down to New Orleans where the ship was set to sail. Along the way, I acquired multiple Happy Meal toys and racked up game after game win in 20 questions. Shortly after we crossed Nashville, I thought, man, what can I do to get this lady Miss Bojangles to like me? I usually perform my line leader duties below average, so I decided to win her over by reading all 13 Series of Unfortunate Events books. That didn't happen. So I decided to, page after page, baby bell cheese after baby bell cheese. I was getting restless, sitting in the same position in the car, and my legs felt the urge to kick down the car door and go to stretch. I started fidgeting with my seatbelt, and ended up doing a full 360 in the belt, looping it around my torso. My mischievous mind lit up, and it became a challenge to wrap as much seatbelt as I could around myself, just like a mummy. After twists, turns, and grunts, I became stuck in my own little spiderweb, and could barely move my arms when I tried to wiggle out. At this point, I was terrified, and the thought arose that I would be stuck to this stupid seatbelt for the rest of my life. I was too scared to wake up my sister for help, as I knew she'd been asleep for the majority of the ride, a rare occurrence, and I knew she'd clown the bleep out of me for getting my big head stuck in a seatbelt. I made it my mission to end what I had started, but after 2 hours, I was unsuccessful, and even more, well, stuck. We arrived at the parking lot of the hotel we would stay that night, and I started tearing up, as I felt so helpless. My dad was relieved he was done driving, but when he saw my little face red with tears, he laughed and exclaimed, "What the bleep happened to you?" I was used to my dad swearing around us, but that day I burst into tears and screamed at him to stop being so mean to me. Taken aback, he felt it was best that he removed himself from the scenario, and had my mom and sister take care of the situation. I was howling that day and making an enormous scene in the parking lot, throwing worse tantrums in the flu shot days. Kicking, screaming, yelling, nothing was out of the cards. It wasn't until my sister found a pair of scissors to cut me out and pointed them in my direction, threatening, "I'll kill you with these first if you don't shut up." I got the hint, and after a good 15 minutes of sawing at the car seat, luckily not myself, I escaped my confinement and I was free. After this incident, I had no choice but to enjoy the rest of the vacation and forever be indebted to my sister. As for good old Miss Bojangles, I thought the Honda Accord belt buckle was a pretty good gift, and every time my friends ask why they can't belt up, I smile. Next up is Duke.
Before I start, I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Harridge's 8-hour English class. This piece is called Thank You, Lincoln. For those of you unfamiliar, Gilmore Girls is a TV show from the 2000s about the wholesome adventures and relationship of a single mom and her teenage daughter, Lorelai and Rory. There's so much I could say about these two. For example, how Rory cheated with her married ex-boyfriend Dean and justified it by saying, "But he's my Dean," or how Lorelai bailed on her fiancé days before their wedding. Despite the controversial choices made by Lorelai and Rory, it's Rory's best friend, Lane Kim, with her rebellious spirit, passion for music, and journey against the grain of traditional expectations, who truly stands out to me as a uniquely compelling character in their quaint town of Stars Hollow. I first watched Gilmore Girls during the summer leading into my freshman year, and I was immediately drawn to Lane's character. Looking back, I now recognize the profound connection I felt, a reflection of myself mirrored in her unwavering individuality and resourcefulness. It was a connection that went beyond the screen, a reflection that felt uncannily familiar. It's a rare and surreal feeling, finding a character who mirrors your own essence so precisely, as if the writers had glimpsed into your soul. Lane was more than just a character. She was a mirror, holding up aspects of my life that I was only just beginning to understand and embrace. From my earliest memories, I harbored a dislike for my black hair. Not because I thought black was an ugly color, but because it starkly contrasted with the sea of blonde, brown, and red hues that surrounded me in my predominantly white elementary school. This distinction subtly singled me out, creating a sense of otherness that I was not prepared to accept or celebrate at a young age. It wasn't until the July before freshman year that I dyed chunks of my hair bright crimson, which my dad often said looked like a cardinal's head with its mix of black and red. I finally felt good about standing out. Like Lane, I too found solace and expression in the unruly act of dyeing my hair, a colorful symbol of our shared desire to stand out and assert our individuality in a world where we often felt like the background. Even though she dyed her hair back to black before her mom could notice, Lane is still more strong-willed than I am, especially in the way that she stands up to her mom, challenging the strict confines of her conservative upbringing to pursue her dreams. I often find myself trying to rationalize that my circumstances diverge from Lane's. Our struggles can't possibly be the same. Yet at the heart of our stories lies a common thread of defiance and self-expression. Her boldness in facing down the stringent expectations set by her family, daring to risk their disapproval and potential alienation for her love of music, showcases a degree of independence and resilience that I not deeply admire, also aspire to embody as I navigate my own choices. I've always wanted to take paths of least resistance, choosing to appease those around me at the expense of my own desires. But Lane's direct confrontation and unwavering commitment to her identity and aspirations have pushed me to reconsider. So thank you, Lane Kim. Next, please welcome Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and this is what I wrote, post-movie madness, and also shout out to all the people that came to see me today. I appreciate it so much. In our lives, there's this magical movie moment. It all starts with a leathery red theater chair and some warm buttered popcorn. It gets you all excited and you become anxious for the movie to start. It starts with you watching, listening, eating popcorn, and shooting a few texts. Somewhere in that messy timeline, the sky goes dark and the showing comes to its end. You sit frozen in your chair and stare off into the screen at every single credit for what feels like hours. Credits end and your eyes are met with the yellow theater lights telling you it's time to go. You pick yourself up and walk back to the car through the crowd of every other zombie-like being. The drive home is the start of something special, something totally new, the start of turning a new leaf or flipping a page. It creates a flaming spark in the messy pit of your world that whispers to you. The voices haunt you, bringing your attention to every little mistake you've made in the past however many days, months, years, or decades. You pull the car up into your driveway and sit in your own silence. Some people sit and reflect the past while others don't. I'm the type of person to overthink the future. Personally, I like to sit in my empty car in my empty driveway and let the emptiness of my anxious thoughts consume me from the inside out. The next part of the post-movie moment is your end of movie mania when you obsess and nitpick over every little thing. It causes you to spring out of character into the magical means of self-improvement. The midnight trip to the local store just to excitedly fill your basket with a new phone case, makeup, new shoes, and teeth whitening strips. For some reason, that's your big moment. The next morning, you hype yourself up and carefully whiten your teeth. Apply makeup and put on your sparkling new street shoes. Then you anxiously hover over your phone and begin to peel off your phone case and replace it with a shiny new one. Apparently, this is supposed to fix your life. You walk into school with perfect posture and a shiny new smile. Your friends greet you and interrogate you about your beloved movie experience. They comment about how good you look and tell you that you're glowing or something of that sort. They pay attention to the changes, but in a good light, and it just couldn't feel better. Your classes pass slowly as usual. Everyone's already noticed your radical change and gone on with their day, and you're left in your very own puddle of empty thoughts. A few more days pass, and there's no more comments to hype you up and tell you how perfect you look. All of the attention has disappeared and shifted to Jenny and her new phone case. That's when you start to lose the movie magic, and it feels like a punch to the stomach. The school day is over, and you're home working on your assignments. You finish up and go cook yourself dinner, clean up dishes, do more homework, and eventually crawl slowly into bed. While you tuck yourself under the covers, reality starts to make its appearance. It hits you like a heavy load of bricks. You realize that you aren't the next Elle Woods or Sharpay Evans. Reality's grip leads you back into your routines and patterns, finally accepting that you're just a person, not the next Hollywood superstar. That's the post-movie madness. And next up is Josh.
Hello everyone, happy Thursday. I'm not gonna lie, completely forgot I had to present today. But big shout out to Mrs. Inks' class. And of course a big shout out to Will and Fred from track. We need So today I'm presenting one of my college essays. It's like a self-college essay, community essay, about my community. I spent my childhood daydreaming about McDonald's constantly. With over 700 seats and 30 cash registers, the Golden Arches seemed like a culinary amusement park. While living in China, indulging in McDonald's was a rarity. At the time, my parents found it too expensive and too far of a drive. So McDonald's, my phone died. McDonald's always represented unattainable moments of comfort and a world beyond my reach. It became my American dream. When we moved back to the US, we'd only go to our local McDonald's in Schaumburg, Illinois on some occasions. But starting my sophomore year, I would spend countless hours reading, working, and now writing essays in this community. I soon became friends with the aged owner, Preston. On my birthdays, he would give me free meals. On his birthdays, I would give him flowers. I once asked him if he'd ever received flowers from his wife. Never. She died 10 years ago, he replied. So the tradition of gifting flowers continued. I belong to my local McDonald's, a community where everyone is accepted, especially those who are hungry. It's a diverse community consisting of Korean seniors, Indian families, African American couples, and now Ukrainian high schoolers. Shout out to the Ukrainian high schoolers as well. Some of whom I've befriended. They've described to me the different versions of the American dream. A dream for a better life, a dream to end the war, and a dream for the safety of their relatives. I realize my local McDonald's is a community where dreams are concentrated. In college, I want to foster a community where people of diverse backgrounds feel welcomed and connected. A place where students can form meaningful friendships, create a sense of belonging that goes beyond mere acceptance. Thank you. We have next Bella.
Hi, I'm Bella, and I'm going to shout out Miss Christensen's 8th period. And also like to shout out my parents who came today. Okay, so I'm going to be reading a short story that I wrote, and it's called Awakening. The flowers begin to bloom. A young girl of 7 years skips through a field, picks up the only yellow flower amidst all the white ones, waiting to be wished upon, waiting to be a hope for somebody. She runs back to her home, that place of solace and consistency, and shows her mother the brilliant flower. She takes it and stamps it inside of a scrapbook, a gift to the girl. Of course, 7 years is too young to understand what it means. The years go by. Those scrapbook pages fill with more photos, the sunshine blocked, more smiles in black and white, and more flowers, but never yellow. Her last few weeks of high school come around. She adds her prom photo to the scrapbook and shuts it with a smile. She takes a breath, and all of a sudden she's remembering the dandelion. She opens the book, opens her heart one more time to that very first page and sees where she began. As a tear slips down her cheek. She runs outside to find no yellow flowers, only hopeless dandelions. She runs until her hair is tangled, her tears are blinding. Her breath is leaving her, and she falls to her knees and weeps for herself, for the springtime where everything is changing. She realizes time flying by faster than she can catch up to it, and is forced to accept that this race between her and time was long ago lost. She was just a girl. Nostalgia is the shadow covering her body in the sunset outside as she thinks of what her life once was. It's the shadow closing her mind off from what's to come, from that thought burning through her whole entire soul, screaming that it wishes the world could move a little slower. She wishes on a white dandelion, but of course, only the yellow could ever make a difference. She sits up, looks around at the useless field, but sees something way off in the distance. She slowly approaches the spot, the last hope of something good, afraid to face another round of disappointment. She peeks her head over and finally sees a yellow flower exactly like the one in her scrapbook. She sprints to it at the same time as a young girl of 7 years is running over to it from the opposite direction. Her face, it's astonishing how similar they look, so much so that she stands there with nothing but awe plastered on her face. From the innocence that lies within her blue eyes to her shining golden hair, to the love pouring out of her heart and appearing in some sort of glow around her body, she's magical. She watches as the young girl bends down to pick the yellow flower from the grass. She doesn't look away from the girl, even as she skips away shouting, "Mom, look what I found." She can't stop picturing the smile that took over the young girl's face when she first saw that yellow flower, the smile she once wore when she was about her age. Why did it go away? Life is too short for worries, for holding back. To be tainted is, of course, to be beautiful. With that, she runs back to her home and finds the flower in her scrapbook. She takes it outside, digs a spot in the ground, and plants it there. It begins to rain. Thank you. And next is my wonderful friend Jamie.
Hello, my name is Jamie Hemmerly, and I'm a freshman. I dedicate this poem to my biggest supporters, my mom, who rearranged her schedule to be here, and my best friend Cammie, who's sitting right there. She saw this poem come to life and has never failed to be there for me. And here is that poem, The Zamboni. The ice is thin. Your skates have become dull from going in circles. Your once speedy momentum has started to slow you down. Your doubts and worries have started to weigh you down. The holes in the ice have gotten bigger and harder to avoid. The lights seem a little too bright and the air a little too cold. It's just you in this empty, white void. It feels like you haven't been outside in days. You aren't talented enough to be a star, but you excel at being mediocre. Hard work will be disguised as being lucky. Round and round you go. When you inevitably slip and fall, you'll hope no one notices. You'll laugh it off, pretending it won't leave a bruise. But you will stand up and keep going, despite how much it hurts. Every trip up has been tracked, every slip up has been scored. Every tear that you've cried has frozen over and left its mark. All the moments you've regretted and every experience you've had has littered the ice. And while everything has been preserved, it'll all be erased. At the end of the day, the ice will melt and refreeze. By tomorrow, you'll forget your little mistakes and replace them with new ones, and you will start again. You'll take off your skates and look at the creation you've made. The uneasy pattern has taken shape to form a beautiful map, and even though it hurts, you've created art. The Zamboni will glide across your ice and make it flawless for tomorrow. The largest holes never quite go away, but time heals everything. Just let the Zamboni take its course, and your canvas will be ready for a brand new day. Thank you. The next step is judgment.
Shout out to Heritage Atrian 18 Lane. So I wrote this poem in freshman year and I really like it, so I'm going to be sharing it. My dad is the color red, overprotective and vigilant like a stop sign or a bright red traffic light. He's a red umbrella protecting me from thunder and rain, but sometimes it keeps the sunshine away as well. My mom's the color pink. Her words are soft and sweet, like a roll of cotton candy. An elegant rose with everlasting petals of love. Like a candle, she spreads warmth around the room and lightens up the darkest spots. My sister is the color blue, rapid and strong like a wave of the ocean on a no-moon day. She's a sky which is everywhere, bringing the world alive. Without her, the ocean wouldn't move and the sky would be covered with clouds of misery. I'm the color white. I'm the sugar that is dissolved in a drink, invisible to the eye, but without it, there is no flavor. White can be mixed into each color, making it lighter, but still no one would ever know it was there. I observe and take in like a white canvas does to paint, but one day I don't want to be painted over again. I want to be painted on something, showing everyone that I was still there. Next up is Freya.
Alrighty, hi everyone, I'm Shreya, and before I begin, I'd like to thank all my teachers, counselors, and coaches who chose to be here today. It means so much to me. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Miss MD's 8-hour class. So for some context, I'm going to be talking about a trip I took to Australia about 3 years ago, and I hope you guys enjoy it. The story is really lighthearted and funny, and it's titled Puking in the Southern Sea. You can probably find my DNA in the Southern Ocean. I swear, I didn't donate my DNA for some scientist to genetically modify an organism. Rather, I vomited into that sea. Not once or twice, but 3 times. I feel like I should have had someone record a video for a Guinness World Record, especially because I don't think I'm going to be going back to Australia for a while. So this wacky trip all started when 3 years ago I was ecstatic to start my winter break 2 days early. Because who wants to learn a bit about the Egyptians when you can go to Australia? The intention of this trip was to visit my cousins who lived there and also tour the largest landmarks of Australia, especially those that are at the risk of disappearing soon, such as the Great Barrier Reef. After we arrived in Australia, my family and I rested at a hotel in Melbourne for 2 days. Then we hopped on a plane to Cairns, another city in Australia. After reaching Cairns, we had to walk in the rain to a dock where we got on a ship. This ship took us to the middle of the Southern Sea, and as we sat there, I felt a foul feeling in my stomach. This sensation began to creep up my throat, and that's when I realized I was going to vomit. I whispered into my mom's ear, and she grabbed my arm, while another lady, one of the ship's crew, grabbed my other arm and led me to the deck of the boat. I clung onto the railings for dear life and vomited over the rail, directly into the Southern Sea. I must have looked so horrendous that the crew member took immense pity on me. "You okay, hun?" she said in her thick Australian accent. I only managed to meekly nod a yes. She reached into her pocket and pulled out something. "Here's a lollipop for you, dearie. This should make you feel a lot better." I smiled graciously and accepted her treat, and then I went back inside the ship to sit with my mom. And then I began to suck on the lollipop, but then a dreadful flavor began to fill my mouth. The lollipop was intended to be banana and chocolate flavored, but it didn't taste like that at all. It tasted more like the milkshakes made for little children who are picky eaters. I told my mom that the lollipop was making me feel nauseous, and she was not happy with the crew member. "Who gives a seasick child candy?" she snapped. "That's how you make children even more sick." And to my gratitude, she threw away that abomination of a lollipop and gave me an electrolyte replenishing drink instead. I never thought I'd see a day where I chose a healthy drink over candy, but I guess miracles happen in Australia. Shortly afterwards, we docked in the middle of the sea, and the crew unfolded a huge plastic platform, about the size of a football field. They filled it with chairs, tables, food, cutlery, and more. Someone, and by someone I mean myself, chose to enjoy the delicious food on the ship for lunch a little too much. Not only did my vomit go overboard that day, but so did I when it came to eating the ship's food. I ate some pasta, some brownies, a few cookies, and ice cream for dessert. Not the best diet for someone who gets so seasick easily, huh? Later on, I went on a boat made purely out of glass with my family as we viewed the beautiful coral of the Great Barrier Reef. And guess who vomited again? Me. But also guess which dumb 11-year-old decided to eat dinner on the boat? I ate lunch and vomited. Why in the world would I not skip dinner? Well, no matter what was going on in my dumb 11-year-old brain, I proceeded to eat a hearty dinner of cheese pizza. And on the return trip back to Cairns, I vomited again. So Guinness World Records, where is my record for vomiting into the Southern Sea 3 times? I don't think anyone else has ever done that before, and there's no way I'm going all the way back to Australia just to vomit in an ocean again. So Guinness World Records, I'm expecting a phone call very soon. And also, to all the colleges out there who are looking for a great future student, I don't think anyone else can argue that their DNA is in the Southern Ocean. So you don't need to look any further for an amazing future student. Thank you.
All right, let's give them all one more big round of applause. We have more time. We're not going to say goodbye to them just yet. We have a couple extra pieces. I know that Kirsty's got something for me, Josh, and then I know, and Shreya, and then maybe Sammy. So while we let them get their stuff ready, I have a question for them. This was given to me by somebody hipper than I, because I'm not really into social media, and it was the question about like, what's your Roman Empire? So, Kirsty, you can maybe explain it better, but it's kind of like, what does your mind like always come back to? Like something that you're very into or in awe of? And for me, it's fanboys. You know, I just constantly think about fanboys and what's next song they're gonna do. If I hear a song on the radio, it's like, what are they gonna do with it? Is there evidence? I don't know. And also my 8th hour is like one of those things that I just think about constantly all the time. So.
That's hard, but I think my Roman Empire would probably just be like all the experiences that I've had, especially like I go camping a lot, so just like all the cool stuff I've seen like out in the wild, I guess.
So for me, my Roman Empire would be everything during that trip to Australia except the vomiting. Besides that, it was great.
That's a great question. My Roman Empire. I think those awkward moments where you accidentally bump into someone and then you forget their name, or you I don't know, get into an argument, but then they're the wrong person you're arguing with. And it's like, I don't know, I just remember a lot of those moments, and I guess, yeah, those constitute my Roman Empire. Yeah.
I think my Roman Empire is the piece that I did for Writers Week last year, which was about how I went to Paris and I put my sneaker in like the safe, and I locked it in there, and so we went sightseeing with my mom carrying me, and I had like one kind of sketch on me.
Okay, so my Roman Empire is like when I was little, I used to like, when I come back from school, my mom used to like come back at like 5 and I used to come back at like 2:45 or whatever. And I used to like call, like if my mom's like later than 5, I used to call her just to like make sure she didn't get into a car accident. Because I was scared.
I don't know, but I finished the book Looking for Alaska by John Green a few weeks ago, and I have always been thinking about that and just like the ideas and stuff that it just stuck with me a lot.
One of my many Roman empires is probably rejection therapy. Just seeing how many things you can experience by not being afraid of people saying no.
Right now, I think my Roman Empire is Physics C. I just took a test and I probably failed. Yeah.
Awesome. I think we're ready for round 2. And we have Kirthi coming back up. Give a round of applause.
So I couldn't find like the original piece I submitted this year, but there was like a poetry slam first semester, so I'm just gonna read the poem I wrote for that. It's called So Far Yet So Close. I know a boy who resides in the ocean. I emerge at the break of morning light as dawn begins to paint the sky with hues of honey and orchid. I find myself on the rough sands nearby, examining the mass of easy water. His mystery beckons me to the shores. The waves are enticing but perilous. Although we've known each other for quite long, his depths remain veiled. He's so close within the ocean's domain, yet a chasm of secrets keeps us so far away. There is a girl who sits on the soft shore. Day after day, in the morning's embrace, I wave her way. She sits tall, strong, unbending. Her heart reaches out to the water despite what's untold. Her eyes dip into dreams far and wide, while I recede into the night, hiding in the ocean's depths. The ocean, a puzzle cloaked in its cerulean veil. The shore, a dream, fiery and amber. Two worlds interlace, a dance near and far. Beneath the sun's glow, beneath the night star. The sand pours itself into the ocean, yet the ocean refrains, teasing the shores. In a dance that never ends, their hearts stay concealed. Thank you.
Welcome back, Josh. Round 2.
Do we have any Roblox players in here? You guys are gonna love this essay. Or love Justin. Every morning, this is my college essay, by the way. Every morning, KidSTEM Studio echoed with a cacophony of laughter and screaming. Amongst my 16 students, Justin, an energetic 7-year-old, always caught my attention as he ran around hollering and giggling uncontrollably. I was particularly fond of him as he greeted me every morning by shaking my shirt sleeve and begging, "Can we play Roblox today?" Bad voice acting, but which always made me smile. Despite Justin's optimism, he wasn't always popular amongst his peers, nor was he the ideal student in the eyes of other interns. Perhaps it was because he needed constant support and had difficulty staying seated and occasionally daydreamed. In ninth grade, I too was absorbed in my own world, either jamming to Run the World by Dayglow, snapping frames of action with my Nikon D35000, or immersed in my fourth reading of Fahrenheit 451. All of this indirectly made me a socially anxious kid and an outlier amongst my peers, so I related to Justin's struggles. One morning, a distressing cry pierced the air. My character isn't moving. Justin had accidentally clicked off his screen again with the laptop's trackpad. Previous interns had tried to teach him how to use a mouse, but they'd given up when he failed to listen. As Justin wailed over his broken laptop, I took his hand in mine, guiding him. My finger would tap his finger, and he, in turn, pressed the mouse button. We tackled how to move the mouse, how the scroll wheel worked, and after 15 minutes, he got the hang of it. Later in the day, I learned that Justin had ADHD. As I got to know him better, I came to understand that Justin's identity isn't confined by ADHD. It's society's perception of his differences that shapes the narrative of disability. Society tends to label us based on our capabilities. In an educational setting, we are evaluated through our abilities to learn, where efficiency and excellence are expected in students. I challenged myself to question these values prioritized by schools. And my concerns deepen as I observe schools optimizing their students in the same way how data scientists optimize AI. Both human and AI models learn similarly by processing data, adjusting behavior based on feedback, and improving performances over time. Yet students like Justin suffer because they learn differently. Noticing the obstacles imposed by a world not inherently structured for students like Justin, I rethought the way I approached my teaching. I tried to make learning more accommodating. I wanted to incorporate the core values of creativity and human connection because, after all, we are human. With the opportunity to create my own individual curriculum, I led the class through a simple 3-day course. In groups of 4, the students created an AI model that identified faces using MIT App Inventor. While we explored the implications of using image classification, I tried to help Justin connect with other students. I usually dedicated my break time to working with him, trying to help him understand how AI recognizes faces by labeling certain features in specific categories. Students would collaborate, take pictures, and fix each other's code. Before long, older students added their own functionalities to the program. I was glad to provide them with the opportunity to express their creativity. The internship helped me develop greater compassion and understanding for those in my surroundings, whether it's Justin or just a random stranger. Also learned that the creative bounds of humans are limitless. Children grow by interacting with each other. Their imperfections, emotions, and creativity are what make them human. I'm interested in exploring how AI can be utilized in an educational setting because I want to create a learning environment that caters to the unique needs of each student. I aspire to develop AI technology tools for inclusivity, empowering individuals who are often marginalized by society to thrive in their educational journey. Thank you.
Everybody welcome Shreya back. She's going to do a little poem for us.
So for context, I love taking like Indian mythology and like turning one story into a short poem. It's really fun. I've made a bunch, and this is one of them. And it's called The King's Plight, and it's based on a story where the heavenly beings and the demons had to go to the middle of an ocean, and they had to turn it to get immortality. The King's Plight, a gift gone wrong, now replaced with a curse. A curse full of darkness, sorrow, misery, and impending doom. The cursed king must now make his way to an ocean so vast and so deep, to become blessed instead. Now he must fight his cousins, a battle between those with goodness in their hearts and those with no hearts at all. They fight to reap the benefits of an ocean able to grant immortality. But who will win this fight? How will those on the side of good win, when evil is a wretched snake about to devour the sun and the moon? But let me tell you this, that good does win after all, because they have love on their side, a power able to overcome anything. Thank you. I also have a second poem called What Color is Life? And it's something we did in Miss OT's class where we got a bunch of random colors and incorporated them into a poem. What color is life? What color could life possibly be? Is it daffodil yellow like the daffodils that dance under the sun? Or is it oyster white? Because isn't life like an oyster, full of hidden surprises? But are those surprises good or bad, just like life itself? Or perhaps life is cloudy gray, bland and boring, until that is, life turns your world upside down. Or could life be strawberry red? Or is raspberry red more fitting? After all, life does produce fruits. Or maybe life is my favorite color, or maybe it's yours. Or is life perhaps a slate gray that turns to a pure black, luring you into false hopes of light when only darkness lays beyond? I really, really, really want to know, what color is life? Is it a leafy green to represent plants, the very essence of nature? Or is it a brilliant blue, the color of water that sustains us all? Or maybe it's the color of the night sky, a night blue so dark and vast that life itself seems insignificant among the stars. Or perhaps life is a rainbow, something beautiful that only comes after a storm has passed.
All right, thank you guys for being an incredible audience. We're going to end it there. Thank you to our amazing student presenters. Amazing job today. See you guys tomorrow, Friday.